Hello, welcome everybody. This is the Mother-Daughter Masterclass, and I welcome you. And if you are listening live, we've already introduced ourselves. If you are listening on the replay, I invite you to sit down. This class will be about an hour, a little under an hour, and I invite you to either have a journal or find it in yourself to be able to answer the questions, so that this is an interactive class and you will be able to learn something. And we have so much going on in our lives, and so we always promise to remember what we're learning, but it's not always happening. So I invite you to get a notebook, a journal, or something where you'd like to retain the information. So just to begin, take a couple of breaths, really settle in, and just honoring yourself that you've chosen to show up for this class, however you're listening to it. If you're not live, if you are driving a car, if you are sitting in front of your computer, if you're busy working, that you did it. And the biggest part about growth and anything to do with relationships or connection or finding out different ways and more ways to do things that feel good is by showing up. My name is Shane Cullman. I am the founder of Your Beautiful Child, and I am ultra passionate about parents and children getting along better. I have been a preschool teacher, a regular education teacher, a special education teacher, a therapist, and now parent coach and transformational coach through embodiment. And I have begun this research on mother-daughter relationships just based on the fact that I see so much turbulence, and the climate that our world is in right now, it is not set up for girls and women as good as it could be. And so I posted this survey, and I'll share some of the results with you here. And basically, the survey yielded 62 mothers, and all sharing information. And I'm hoping that some of the information will be of use to you so you won't feel alone, and some of it will bring insight. So taking a deep breath in and answering the question, what brought you to this class tonight? What are you looking to change, or what are you looking to receive, or what do you want in the terms of your relationship with your daughter? What are you looking for? And I will move on. So after you've written that, and if you need time at any point to write down more, you can always pause this recording. So this is how we will go through. This is part of the welcome. And then I will share some of the survey and results and talk about one of those or a couple of those as we go. And then I will ask you about some questions about the possibilities. And then at the end, I'll share about the upcoming course and the information and some exciting bonuses, but you have to hang in there till the end. So, what is the biggest challenge that you are having right now with parenting your daughter? So write that down. And I want you to write down as much detail as you can. So what's feeling really hard or challenging, or could be better about your daughter? And then write down what's challenging you and not your daughter. So let's say she's a mess. She leaves her room a big, giant disaster area, and it doesn't bother her at all, but it bothers you. Or she is not brushing her teeth, not washing her face, not taking showers, and she seems to be fine with it, but you are not okay with it. And you can write that in a list, or you can write that in stream of consciousness, just writing. Okay, great. So I want to share a story, and it was the first time I realized that mothers and daughters need a lot of support. So all parents need support, all children need support, all human beings, but mother-daughter relationships are very special ones. And my own relationship to my mother is not an easy one. Um, we're very different people. And as a child, I felt very, I don't know if I felt it as a child, but looking back, I felt, I would say after puberty, I felt very unseen, very misunderstood, and just very disconnected. And so part of that is my passion for doing this work. The first mother daughter relationship was a family I was working with, and the daughter was 7. And she was experiencing lots of anger, lots of big emotions. She was physically hitting mom and dad. And one day she said to the mother, now this is her natural family, mother, daughter, biological. And she said to her mother, Mom, why did you marry him? And then they contacted me. And when the mom told me this, she also shared with me that there was no intimacy in the marriage, and it was very challenging to even engage with the husband. And so the daughter was acting out in regards to the energy in the house. Now, this, working with me is not about just band-aiding things or fixing kids. And nobody has to change, but more awareness has to be brought in. And so knowing this and feeling this and having the awareness that there's very little intimacy in the house, the daughter was picking up on that and she was acting out. And for her to say that to mom was very disturbing. And I can tell you a bunch of more stories of where kids are really perceptive. And so if something's going on at home and you're trying to hide it from your children, it doesn't work. And I'm here to help soften that so it doesn't have to be so awkward or edgy or challenging to have real conversations. Okay, so before we go here, the first tool that I'm going to share with you, and I'll share like 2 or 3, is observation. So I have worked with children with special needs, children with autism, Down syndrome, defiant disorder, oppositional defiant disorder, ADHD. I've worked with typically behaving kids from ages 2 to 18 and older. So what I want to say is all kids show behavior, right? It's human nature that we mostly pay attention to the stuff that doesn't work. The bad things, the temper tantrums, the things that really drive us nuts. But your job as an adult is to know your child is a stranger to you. Just because you've birthed them or they're your child does not mean that you know them. And starting out with that way of thinking, basically observing your child can show you what makes them tick, what gets them upset, what they need to unwind from a challenging situation, because it's not always easy. And just because you think it should be a certain way, the child has their own agenda and they don't have the same language that we have. So observe. So let's say a great example would be your kid comes home from school and they, no matter what age they are, and they start throwing their things around. They take their bag off, throw it on the floor. They take their jacket off, throw it on the floor. And they're acting very like, huh, 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 just throwing things around. So what would you do in that case? A lot of parents either ask a question or make a demand. Why are you doing that? You know it doesn't belong there. Pick that up right now. When you observe what happens, you're basically sitting back, relaxed, and checking out what's happening with your child. Okay, that's the first step. The second step, before giving them a demand or asking them a question, which is taking, you're going to give an offer. I see that you're throwing your things around. Period. You don't have to say anything else. See what happens. You're just noticing. I'm noticing I'm seeing that you're throwing your things around. What's up? And it's really important to keep that tone of voice. So observing and then stating what you notice. Okay. Oops. All right. Great. So moving right along. What is most challenging about parenting your daughter? And these are some of the survey results. So let's see if you have anything in common with them. So I want to talk about this first one. So there were 62 results, and I would like to share some of them. Okay. So try not to let your own upbringing influence how you parent. So basically, there might have been things that you didn't like as a child yourself. And so parenting from a place of not wanting to do what you got done to you as a child is one way of parenting, but your child, because they are a stranger, you want to find out what they need most, not what you don't want to do. And here's something else that I want to say is that you cannot control whether they're going to be upset at you. You cannot control if you do something that messes up. What you can control is doing something with full conviction, making the mindful choice, and believing that you're doing the right thing. And the way you know if you're doing the right thing is by committing to it, seeing how you feel with it. I don't have opinions on how to do things if they work. If your child is acting up, if you feel that your relationship is not flowing, that's not working, that's when I step in. If everything is working and you want to go deeper and have more of a connection, I'm here for you. If things are working and there's a sense that you could be doing something different, you can be here to check in with me. What I don't give is, do it this way, do it this way. Everything I give is an offering. And I truly believe that every parent, especially every mother, has the intuitive sense on what's right and what's not right for their family. And so I had a mom ask me when the child has a tantrum, she was talking about her 3-year-old daughter. When the child has a tantrum, is it okay that she sends her to her bed? And my first question was, is your daughter okay with that? Does she go to the bed? And she says yes. And she cries and screams, and then it's over and she comes out. And so I asked the mom, do you feel okay with that? Mom said yes. I said, great, then it's working. Basically, she created a safe space for the daughter to go and release, cry, scream, whatever. And then when she's done, she comes out. And the truth was, the mother couldn't even deal with the tantrum. Most of us can't. So you don't have to look at it. Like, let her have that energy outburst, and then she'll come back to life. So trying to not let your upbringing influence how you parent is really genius, because your parenting experience is separate than your childhood experience. Okay. So in the upcoming course that I'm going to be offering, either live or recorded, we deal with this next one, remaining centered when she is emotionally unstable. So I would say adolescents and teenagers have a really challenging time staying centered just because they have all this hormonal stuff going on. So how do you, and this is one of our steps, how do you stay calm or present when she is emotionally unstable, when she's a little off? And we'll talk about that in the course. Okay. So this one right here, doing it alone, never a break for yourself, that is major. And there were 40% of the people polled said that they don't have a self-care practice. If you don't have a self-care practice, you are going to fail. If you don't refill your cup, if you don't take care of yourself, you have such a little source to give from. And children will find that little bit of source that you have and eat it up, because they're here to remind you, take care of yourself. They need you. Think of the airplane and the oxygen mask. They need you to be full so that they can receive from you. If you are not receiving, if you are not giving to yourself and you're not living somewhat in your pleasure or being aware of it, if you're not taking care of yourself physically, if you're just running around being a chauffeur or a servant, you will end up having a very short fuse if you don't already know that. So doing it alone, especially single parents, I know it's not easy. And I'm not saying go on vacation or get a spa treatment. You don't have to spend any money. Use your fine china, paint your nails, take a bath, put on music, light a candle, things like that you already have. And I know it's not easy because you want to be the best parent you can, but part of being the best parent you can is self-care. Okay. Allowing her to fail, and this mother usually steps in before allowing her to make a mistake. So children are natural born problem solvers. And what I want to say is we don't always give them the opportunity to solve their problem because you want to help them. We want to help them. But letting them work it out. So I had another mom who has a daughter who has very challenges with her fine motor skills. And so whenever she sees her getting frustrated with putting on doll clothes, she goes to help her. My offering to this mom was, check in first. Can I help you? Do you need my help? Is one choice. The second choice is walk away. Don't look. Let your daughter feel her feelings. Let her feel the frustration. And if she needs you, she can come ask for help. So the third option I told her was, if you need help, come to me. And teaching your child how to ask for help when necessary, very powerful. Okay. So this big one here in the middle, where I think she is competitive with me and anticipates me being critical of her because she knows she has made a choice or two that I am not wild about, even though I have come to accept her choices because I know they are right for her, even though they are choices I have not made for myself. Great. This to me seems very much like a mother who has a lot going on in her head. Now, most of us do. And the way I support my clients is to lead from their heart, lead from their gut. And so the mind is not your friend. Thinking about what she's thinking, what you're thinking, what she's thinking about you're thinking, the end. So this needs to be unwound a couple of steps. And a daughter being competitive with a mother is so, it's an epidemic. It happens a lot because women have been raised to judge. It's just, the society. If you haven't, great. But typically the judgment piece comes in, and that's what I see a lot of here when there's truth that is not being spoken. And I'm really here to help that. I was not raised in a home that was truthful. It's like, oh, if we're angry, perhaps we just go shopping instead, or we talk about traffic, or we talk about something completely irrelevant with the subtext of I'm angry, or I love you, or I'm afraid. And so really staying in a place of like, I am uncomfortable and I'm going to say something anyway, and not worrying about screwing it up. And a lot of what I teach about communication with children is from nonviolent communication, which is no blaming, no shaming, no putting anybody in the spot of you're wrong, and really staying in that place of curiosity. Okay. And so these are all important, but I really want to pick up on this one where I am worried about her decision making when she's older, especially when it comes to sex. And this is a parent of a daughter who's 8 years old. And why I bring this one up and why I put her age there, and all the surveys that came in were children ages 2 to 48. So the worry, what you're worried about, what moms are worried about, Very, like, this mother is projecting the future about her daughter's sex life when her daughter's only 8. When I looked at this survey, when I started reading it, I started to cry, for 2 reasons. First, I was very touched that people were expressing so much. And second of all, I just really started to see the disconnect and the idea that mothers have all this thought, anxiety, pressure, judgment, and daughters are just figuring stuff out. Little girls are just figuring stuff out on their own, even if they're 17, 18. You know, we as adults want to teach our children emotional intelligence and mindfulness. And I know if you're in this masterclass right now, that you want to lead by example, that you want to offer your daughters a safe space for them to come to you and share. And if the mindfulness piece isn't there, and if you're really, let's say you're worried, right? Then it's like you are living your life with the filter of worry between what's really happening and you. And this filter of worry creates a disconnect. And you keep your worry to yourself, and your daughter just figures stuff out on her own. So I'll give you an example of that. So you start talking to someone about the rain. Oh, it's raining. And your voice has that connotation of like, it's raining. That's terrible. Now, it's also very cultural, because if you lived in the Middle East and it was raining, you might be dancing in the streets. And so children pick up that kind of opinions, those kind of opinions. If you have a family occurrence going on and you're whispering around the house, your children will pick up on that. I grew up where my grandparents spoke Yiddish. They spoke another language. And my parents would speak to them in another language. And as a child, I clearly remember being like, they're hiding something from me. And I learned Yiddish. And they weren't necessarily hiding something from me, but they were talking privately. And that created something that told me, oh, they are hiding something. And this shield of protection came. And so just learning how to work with your own worry, your own shame, your own guilt, concern about the challenges, whatever they are in life, and learning how to relate them to your daughter in an age-appropriate way, it's so doable. And with skill, you can actually support them so they can solve more problems and learn how to connect to their friends when there's trouble. Okay. And then I just want to touch on this last piece that says, I want to teach her to be independent. I don't know if it's working. So a large purpose of having support and being interested in this course that's coming up is, as women, we need to check in with each other. And it's okay to have that outside validation or the witnessing, so that you feel like what you're doing is good, is healthy. You want to know if what you're doing is the right thing to do. And, you know, long time ago, thousands of years ago, women sat in red tents and discussed these things. And so this is similar in the way of parenting, where you don't have to do it alone. You don't have to be stuck. When you are in patterns, it's very difficult to get out of those patterns unless you have support. It's one of those things that don't change. I always think like, it's like an antler. You know, antlers, like deer. They're just stuck in the way they relate. How's school? Good. What do you have to do? Homework. Okay, bye. Dinner, bedtime. But to start to open up these different ways of relating, you know, it's uncomfortable at first. And so another question that one of the parents asked me, one of the mothers, was, what do I feel about consequences and punishment? And I believe consequences and punishment, the time to use them is to empower a child. So let's say you get a hit in your head of worry. Let's say teenagers, your daughter's 13. She's supposed to call you at 9 o'clock. She has a school party, and you want her to check in at 9 o'clock. Okay, so I'm going to role play. So you say, hey, Maggie, so you have that school thing tomorrow at 9 o'clock. I'm really excited you're going. Yeah, I want you to check in at 9 o'clock. Is that okay with you? Yes, Mom, I'll check in with you at 9 o'clock. There's part of me that's already worried that you're not going to remember to check in. What can we do to make sure that I feel good and you feel good about checking in so I don't have to worry about you? Well, Mom, I could set my alarm clock. Okay, that's one great idea. Great. What if you forget to call in? What will happen? Like, what do you want to give yourself as a consequence if you forget to call? Well, then I'll give you my phone for 24 hours. Great idea, Maggie. Have a great time. So in that, you're giving your daughter, and you could do this with a 3-year-old, you're giving your daughter the impetus to create her own consequence. And then she starts to feel responsible. It's like as an adult, if you don't exercise, there are consequences, natural ones. If you don't drink any water, you will be dehydrated. If you don't pay your light bill, the lights will be shut off. So teaching girls responsibility through natural consequences is very powerful. The part about communication where nonviolent communication comes into play is it's not like, I want you to call me at 9 o'clock. You need to call me at 9 o'clock. I want you to call me at 9 o'clock. That language is very aggressive and it's very like, do this or else. So if you discuss the consequences beforehand, highlighting the word discuss, a conversation, a dialogue, setting yourself up for success is the way to empower your child and create ease for yourself. So with young kids, 3 and 4 and 5, I've worked with kids that don't speak English. You can write up a contract. You can have each other sign it. If your kid doesn't write, you can trace their hand as a signing. And you can do this with teenagers. You can make agreements. You can give them the life lesson. We, the undersigned, agree to the following. Boom, write out a contract. All right. So the next question was, what worries do you have about your daughter? And the biggest one was her strong emotions. And I want to talk about that because we all, in our feminine energy, have strong emotions. Now, as human beings, we have learned to squash our emotions by eating, drinking, spending money, gossiping, or the biggest one, numbing out and watching the news, or numbing out and watching TV, or numbing out and getting on Facebook for hours. And that is a way to dissociate and to not feel your feelings. And with women that I work with in the Enchanted Embodiment program, a lot of them come and say, I think I'm manic. I think I have real problems. And it's been so long that we haven't had spaces to feel our feelings that it does feel manic. But that's being a human being. And so when mothers are worried about their daughter's strong emotions, it's like a direct gift that they are being normal. And we have stifled and stuffed down and repressed and suppressed our emotions. And what we are seeing in the young girls, when you're seeing these strong emotions, it's very confronting. Because it's like, oh, I don't want to feel all that, so I'm going to yell at her, or I'm afraid, or I'm going to worry about it. And then all you feel is your worry, and you live in the state of worry. Ugh. I just wrote an ebook called From Anxiety to Ease, The Feminine Way, and it deals with exactly this. And her strong emotions are really your strong emotions, are really your grandmother's strong emotions, your mother's strong emotions, and they might not be easy to feel, but taking a step in the right direction by listening to this course, by using your body to transmute feelings, is exactly the right way to handle this. All right. So I'm going to pause the recording right now. I'm going to go to the people who are live and answer their questions. And so feel free to get a beverage, take a break, pause it, and I'll be right back. All right. So I am really excited. This is something I'm really passionate about. I am passionate about how mothers and daughters relate so that women can support each other to help our communities, our families. Our strengths are valuable. And I want to read to you from this book that I just received. And whether you're into being empowered or not, the name of this book is How Women Will Change the World. It's by a gentleman called Andy McCabe. So just for a moment, I invite you to close your eyes, take a deep breath in and relax your shoulders. When women fully appreciate their power, they will make the needed changes in themselves, their family, community, workplace, politics, and the world. When women fully appreciate their power, they will make needed changes in themselves, their family, community, workplace, politics, and the world. It is with this that I very excitedly introduce dun, 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 Desperate Mothers, Defiant Daughters. And what I want to say about this is the title can be jarring, but that's okay. The live class begins Monday, January 16th, tomorrow night, or tonight, 8:30 p.m. Tonight or tomorrow night, depending when you're listening to this. And we're going to learn the 7 steps to connection, respect, and ease. It's a course for mothers of school-age girls. So this course is for you if you and your daughter fight or have power struggles, you feel out of control, you don't really know if you're doing a good job raising your daughter laughs at you when you're speaking to her, you can't seem to be nice and find yourself yelling all the time. You react from a place of no patience, then you feel guilty. You feel ashamed that your daughter is spoiled. You know there has to be a better way because this isn't working. You repeat yourself to get your daughter to listen. It doesn't have to be that way. I am here to support you and your daughter's relationship, so it's less of this and more of this. Your daughter will get older. She will become an adult, and you want her to trust that there is a sacred and safe space for both of you to have all of your feelings so that nobody feels like too much. So I want you to take a moment, and you can write this down or just answer to yourself. What do you want instead? And if it's something great already, what do you want in addition to what you already have in your relationship with your daughter? So if you want that, I want to give it to you. And in this course, you will get the 7 steps. You'll get the recordings for future use. You will have live question and answer sessions at the end of every class if you join the live class starting tonight or tomorrow night, whenever you're listening to this. You will get the fun work assignments, the workbook questions, and you get a one-on-one call with me privately. And I have big exciting news. So this course has been offered at $297, but I've heard you. I've had conversations. And if you're listening to this masterclass, you get this course for $97. So you're saving $200 right there. Then You are also, as a bonus, getting the Purposeful Parenting course, which was given last year, and that was $497. People paid $497 to join that live, and you'll be getting it free. And you get this meditation bundle, the child sleep meditation, which is really for anybody, the parent panic meditation, and the auto suggestion for your success or your teenager's success. So you're basically saving $832. And for $97, you get all of this. And this is the special price if you're joining live or if you get the recording. You get the class recordings. So I am so excited, and I really, really thank you for being on this list, for being in this circle, for listening to this masterclass. I am so ready to support you and your daughter in your relationship. And if you're interested and you say yes, go to yourbeautifulchild.com. Please excuse the missing H. And click on, you can't see my finger, click on the Mother-Daughter Masterclass Attendee Bonus. And that's where you pay your $97. And my name is Shane Coleman. I thank you so, so much. I am the founder of Your Beautiful Child and the owner of Enchanted Embodiment. If you would like to have a conversation or shoot me an email about how we can work together, I am so here for you. I wish you the best of everything, and I thank you for showing up. There's probably 10 other things you could have been doing, but that you're showing up for this in your life means you really care, and not everybody is willing to show up. So congratulate yourself. Thank you for listening, and have a beautiful night.